Hey, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at this Sony Ericsson Xperia ION Prototype. Now, why do I say Sony Ericsson? That's because, as you can see here on the sticker, it says AT&T Developer Program, Sony Ericsson LT2880, AT as in AT&T. This phone was a AT&T testing sample. So it is not a hardware prototype, it is a software prototype, and this thing has a few software differences, and it's running a very I wouldn't say earlier version of the OS, but definitely a testing version of the OS, and it has a few external differences as well, such as this not for sale sign, the IMEI sticker is a bit different. It has a few things that the final model also didn't have. These were AT&T's developer prototypes or dev kits, as you can see here, AT&T Developer Program. I've done a video identically on a BlackBerry, I think Z10 developer device. You can find it up here if you already haven't watched it, BlackBerry Z10 developer device. So another AT&T dev device, and this phone was from a period where Sony Ericsson was changing over to Sony. Their contract ended with Sony and Ericsson's contract ended around 2011, 2012. I forgot exactly when. This phone was released in 2012, so probably around 2011, 2012. I'll put it up here if I was wrong there. These first-gen Sony phones were actually designed by Sony Ericsson, but released as Sony when the company split up. So even on some production models, there were Sony Ericsson stickers inside the battery bays and on the boxes and stuff. So the Sony Ericsson branding stayed with some of the first-gen phones back in 2012, 13, and I think up to 14. But after 2014, we stopped seeing the Sony Ericsson branding. We just saw Sony branding. And then after like 2015 to 2021 is when Sony actually started declining. After 2015, people stopped buying Sony phones because they used to overheat, the displays used to get black spots, the battery life was terrible because of the overheating. The cameras that they at once were really good cameras could no longer really compete with Apple and Samsung. And no one really had a reason to buy Sony phones anymore. And the worst thing about them was they didn't get updates. You wish you get even one major update. But now after 2021, they've started to come back and release some good phones that don't have those issues. But this is an example of a first generation Sony device that was developed with Sony Ericsson, basically with the Ericsson company as well. However, it was released as a Sony product. So we'll be getting into a lot of detail on this phone, the technical specs and stuff. What I just mentioned was all just the history and stuff. So we'll get into the tech specs and everything. I'll show you the differences between the final model and this, and we'll go from there. So as usual, before jumping right in, don't forget to smash that like button down below, as it helps this video get on YouTube's algorithm. And also don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below if you already haven't, and ring that bell notification button to get notified whenever I upload a new video. I'm on Instagram, Discord, and Twitter, and you can follow me on those using the links down in the description below. And now let's jump into some technical specifications of this phone. So firstly, let's lock the device here, and we'll talk about the design and build quality. Now on the exterior, it is basically the production Sony Xperia ION. There's nothing majorly different. It just has a not for sale branding there and some numbers over there. It also has these plus, at, and 0 branding there, and everything else is the same. And it's got this sticker underneath. The sticker is just plain. It's just plain. It's a sticker. It's not built into the phone or anything, the prototype sticker. So up top here we have our earpiece. Over there we have Sony branding, front-facing camera. We have your old school 4 Android buttons over there, as you can see there, your old school 4 Android buttons. And the usual model does not have prototype not for sale there. Underneath here, if I go ahead and press the power button underneath there, I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring it closer. Press the button, there are 4 LEDs under each button there, as you can see there. So 4 LEDs under each button. Moving on to this side, we do not have, this side we do not have that much. But on this side, we have the camera shutter button. So it's a half press to focus, full press to take the photo. We have the volume rockers and we have the power button here. The power button is in somewhat of an awkward position, but it is what it is. On this side, like I said, not much except the HDMI port over there and the micro USB port as well. Apart from that, nothing much. At the top of the phone, as you can see here, we have our 3.5mm headphone jack. 3.5mm headphone jack. Let's bring that for a close in there. It's centered, which is nice. And then at the bottom here, we have our microphone, and this thing has some writing. We have an @ symbol, plus symbol, 0 symbol. And here, if you, even on the final model, this was the same. If you open this flap-like thing, you get the IMEI information and stuff. And this one, it says prototype and stuff like that. Let me bring it in for a close-up. So not approved, prototype, not for sale, prototype build AP2. We have the serial number over there, made in China. So it's a bit, the sticker is a bit different obviously on the release model, but it is what it is. Moving on to the back of the phone, as you can see here, it has the camera up there. So we have our rear facing camera. We have a single LED flash there. We also have the speaker grill, the speaker perforations for the speaker. This place is usually blank, but this AT&T Dev sticker is there, the Dev Kit sticker. It's a barcode of some sort, Xperia branding over here. And on this side, we have, as you can see, there's some writing, CB5A1JEP6U, not for sale. That's obviously not on the final model. And the SD card slot and the SIM card slot, if you saw when I was showing you around the phone, I did not mention them because this part I've just cut in and put here. I had to figure out exactly where they are, and they're well hidden, just like this, the bottom portion here. But at least the bottom portion has this place to put your finger and open it up. But the SD card and SIM card slot are up here when you push up like that, and it does not have like a place to put your finger and lift up. So there's your micro SD card slot, and there's your SIM card slot over there as well. Overall build quality, it is your average Sony plastic phone from 2012. There's nothing much to talk about build quality there. It is built good. It was a upper mid-range phone, and there's nothing much to talk about its build quality. It felt like any other Sony device at the time, decently built, nothing too major, not made out of metal or anything, but it feels premium in the hand. It's quite smooth at the back. It's got this really smooth metal back, as you can see there, and it's a really nice design as well. So that was the design and build quality for the prototype Sony Xperia ION. Nothing too major when compared to the final model. So the display on this thing is your run-of-the-mill Sony display from 2012. It is towards the brighter side, however, and it is actually a nice display for its time, and even for 2022, I'd be happy with using this display. It is a 720p panel, however, it is a very good-looking 720p panel. Sony did displays really well back in the day, but then, like I said, after 2015, the black spot issue started coming up. I also have a Sony Xperia, I think it's an XZS. I think, yeah, XZS. I'll put the video up here. This XZS that I did repair eventually, I think the battery overheated the display or something, and the display got the dreaded black spot. So that was one reason Sony kind of lost popularity. It's because people dreaded the black spot and the bad battery life and stuff like that. But nevertheless, these older displays were really nice. Now, the display on this thing, like I said, is a 720p panel. It's 4.55 inches, so 4.55 inches like that, diagonally. So we have 720 by 1080, so 720 by 1080. It's a 720p display, 16 by 9 aspect ratio, and it gives it a pixel density of roughly 323 pixels per inch. So it's around the sweet spot that a lot of people say that the human eye can't differentiate, but that's up for debate. I really do not know exactly whether that's all biology, I guess, talking about the human eye, but 323 pixels per inch, 720 by 1280 pixels, 16 by 9 aspect ratio. The glass also has some sort of coating of some kind. I couldn't find really online what the coating was, but it's definitely not Gorilla Glass. But overall, it's a really nice display as well. Let me pull up the gallery here, and Alright, so we are in the gallery here, and this is max brightness, and as you can see, it is a very bright display. It performs really well in the sunlight as well. And these are some photos that I took today for the camera review section of this video, but I'll show you them here in the display review section as well, because this phone is really good at showing its the photos that it did take by its own camera. So we are not looking at any edited, high quality, filtered photos. These are raw images taken from its own camera. So this display is very bright, as you can see, and the colors pop really nicely. I don't know if that's obviously coming through on video. It also depends on what quality you're watching it on your phone, but the colors are really nice. The picture is also really nice. We'll talk about that when in the camera section. The colors pop, they're bright, they're vibrant, they're sharp, they're not blurry. The colors are accurate, and this is a really surprising 720p display. This is actually really good. Look at these photos, they're so nice as well, and it looks amazing for a phone from 2012. And this is not the higher end phone. This is not the Xperia S or anything like that. This is the Xperia ION. This is the upper mid-range, but look at these photos, they're so nice. But then again, we really shouldn't be surprised, as Sony makes amazing displays for their TVs and stuff. So yeah, Sony was known for really good displays. Alright, so one of the display features this phone has, which is a software feature, is the mobile Bravia engine. Now take a look at this photo first. This engine, basically what it does is it enhances the image quality on the display. Let me try and get this a bit closer. So we have this photo of this plush here, and notice the quality. Now let's go ahead and try and turn off the Bravia engine and see if we notice a difference. There is a slightly noticeable difference, as you can see there. The quality isn't as good as it was when the Bravia engine was turned on. So let's try another photo. So the Pringles cans over here, take a good look at them with the Bravia engine turned off. Now let's go ahead and turn it on again, and hopefully it looks a bit better. Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. Even on camera, through another camera lens, that is noticeable. So yeah, that's another great feature this phone has. It enhances the image, sort of adds an HDR effect to it. The mobile Bravia engine image quality enhancer for photos and videos. So thumbs up on that feature. It really works, even in a prototype stage like this. Even after 2015, the displays were good. It's just they were faulty. They had the black spot issue and the lines and stuff, but overall they know how to make a great display. But like I said, bright, vibrant, colorful, sharp, and amazing display overall for a 720p display from 2012 that is perfectly usable here in 2022. I'd gladly use it in 2021. Oh, sorry, 2022. I keep calling it 2021. I'd gladly use this thing in 2022, and I may do a video on using this phone in 2022 as well. And this display is going to be a real treat to use as well. So definitely stay tuned for that video if you want to see it by hitting that subscribe button down below. So now let's jump into all the other technical specifications, starting with probably internal specs. Alright, so now let's talk about some other specifications. And firstly, you must be wondering, that doesn't look like Android Jellybean, because the Xperia ION was upgradable to Android Jellybean. First ice cream sandwich, then Jellybean. And you're right, this thing is running Gingerbread. This phone was released with Gingerbread, and this is running 2.3.7 Gingerbread, which and this specific version is a pre-release version of Gingerbread, obviously for testing purposes by AT&T. So this is not the final release version of Android for this phone. I'm pretty sure this thing can be upgradable to ice cream sandwich and eventually Jellybean, but I'm not going to upgrade it because I might lose some of the dev features. But yeah, it's running 2.3.7 Gingerbread. We'll talk about the software in a bit. So the processor on this thing is a Qualcomm Snapdragon S3, which is a dual-core processor clocked in at 1.5 gigahertz. The variant on this phone, the Snapdragon S3 variant on this phone, is the MSM8260. So Qualcomm Snapdragon MSM8260 dual-core 1.5 gigahertz. It has an Adreno 220 as its GPU as well. It has a micro SD expansion slot, I think up to 64 gigs. If it's not 64, I'll put it here, but if it's 64, I'll just leave it blank. But I think it's 64 gigs. And it has 16 gigs of internal memory and 1 gig of RAM. So decent specifications for an upper mid-range phone from 2012. It ran Gingerbread really nicely, but the Jellybean update kind of slowed the phone down. Ice Cream Sandwich was okay apparently according to the reviews and stuff, but the Jellybean upgrade apparently slowed it down a bit. And these hardware specs, obviously, I mean, it's an upper mid-range. You couldn't really expect too much from it. Now, for this particular device, because it's a prototype, doesn't mean it has anything different from the final model. Like I said, this is an AT&T Dev Kit phone. This is not an unreleased version of the Xperia ION. This is a phone sent from Japan or China to the US for AT&T to review and stuff before releasing it on their network, because this phone was offered by AT&T back then. In terms of internal hardware, I could not find anything that this phone has in difference to the final release model. It is exactly the same. Usually they would not send a device that has that has features that are not going to be released to a company like AT&T, because stuff like this happens. The phone leaks out. AT&T's developers go escape with these stuff, because this is how this thing got out. Pretty sure the person I bought this from was a developer, and the BlackBerry Z10 as well. I keep calling it Z. Was it a Z10? I forgot. But either way, they would not send a phone with unreleased features to a network provider like that. The only phones they send to network providers for testing purposes are software prototypes, not hardware prototypes. Hardware prototypes, like for example, where's that thing that I've been trying to do a video on for so long? This, what is that? Oh, okay, my HomePod activated itself. But anyway, this is the Motorola Razr Z12. This is an unreleased phone. This phone was never released. This kind of stuff, they'll never send it out to a developer, a network provider like AT&T for testing purposes until they're sure they're going to release the phone. This thing, phones like this that were never supposed to be released would never be sent to a network provider, as the phone is until the phone is scheduled for release. Until they made their decision to release it, it would never be sent to the network provider. So in terms of internal hardware, this thing is exactly the same, and it was already confirmed to be released. The only difference is obviously the software. So now let's move on to the software section of this phone. Okay, so we are here in the About section, and as you can see, it says Android 2.3.7, which is Gingerbread. It's not the base version of Gingerbread, but it was one of the updates. This particular phone is running that, but I think the launch version ran... I think it was 2.3.7. I can't remember. I cannot confirm either. But if you know, let me know down in the comments which version of Gingerbread the launch version actually had. Is it actually 2.3.7? But this is 2.3.7 Gingerbread, as you can see here. I haven't connected this thing to the Wi-Fi yet. I didn't want to connect it because it might become slow, because older phones don't take newer Wi-Fi networks that well. Let me move the camera a bit down here. Okay. So yeah, older phones do not really like newer Wi-Fi networks, so that's why I haven't connected it to the Wi-Fi. Apart from that, it's your simple Android OS with the Sony Ericsson, with the Sony Xperia skin on top. I forgot what the skin was called. Put it up here. They called their skin something. Was it Bravia? No. I'll put it up top here. I forgot what this skin was called, but yeah. It was one of the most popular at the time because it was the nicest, easily the nicest. I had an Xperia Tipo at the time, the tiny little thing, and it also had the same skin, and I really liked it, but it was prone to lagging when you had a lot of apps open in the background. This OS seems pretty complete. There's nothing that I can find to show that it is incomplete. It has this log-along software. This is one of the testing softwares. You can get this software online, so it's not like a rare software that only developers have, but you can get this software online. You can run some logs, and the logs will be saved to a memory card or the phone memory, depending on where you want it. These are, we have main log, we have events, we have radio, we have start log on boot, and we have a kernel log as well, and you can hit update. whenever there's a change, or delete all. But yeah, that is a testing software. It's just a logging software to see the specific parameters of whatever log you want, whether it's the kernel or the events or whatever. It's a parameter log. So that is one of the softwares you wouldn't see on the final model. Of course, I think featured apps by AT&T. This is not the original logo either. The featured apps logo, it could have been changed. The clock logo looks a bit different. I don't remember that being the clock logo. I could be wrong. We have Amazon Kindle, AT&T Locker, AT&T Ready to Go, some basic AT&T software. There may be more developer options accessible to this phone, but once you plug it into Sony's or AT&T's software, then only can you access those developer options. But on the surface, like I said, this thing is a software testing prototype. This is not a hardware prototype with hardware differences. So with Android Gingerbread back in the day, when you go up to About Phone and you hit build number, you don't get that thing saying you are now a developer. Instead, you have to go to Applications. Where is Applications? Go to Applications and hit Development, and then you have USB debugging. It's very limited. If you wanted the full array of options, you actually have to go into you have to either download a special app or you have to plug it to a computer. And I don't think I showed you earlier the Android version artwork, so let's do that again. Come on. Wasn't it doing that again? That's strange. Huh. It's supposed to do that again. This may be because it's it did it once. When you click this fast enough, you should get let me reload settings here. Where is that? Let me get settings open again. Go back. That should actually open the artwork, the gingerbread and the zombie artwork. Why isn't it doing that now? That's very strange. Again, maybe it has a bit of, oh, there we go, finally. Zombie art by Jack Larson, there you go. Zombie Gingerbread Man. That took a while, so yeah, that's definitely, maybe this isn't as polished as I thought it was, but it is what it is. So we have your old school Xperia stuff, the themes, the wallpapers. You have your bunch of Xperia themes, the classic Sapphire and Amethyst, Ruby, Gold, Sapphire, Emerald, Turquoise, and Silk. I liked the Turquoise a bit more, so let's put it on Turquoise. So do that. You can also download themes, obviously, and these were Xperia stuff only. You could get these on Xperia only. We have widgets here as well, so we have Sony's widgets and we have the other widgets as well. So Xperia Smart Tags widget, what is that? So there you go, it's an NFC thing, and everything else that was made in the software. This is, I mean, there's nothing much I can show you here. You know what Sony's Gingerbread skin and Android running on Gingerbread knows by this time. This is such old stuff, and most of you would have already seen this before. This being a prototype doesn't make much of a difference because it doesn't have too much testing software. Maybe it does, but I don't have the companion software to connect this thing. I'm pretty sure Sony would not have released that, and I couldn't find anything online. But let me know down in the comments if there's a companion software that I can access to have access to all of AT&T's other stuff that's on this phone, because definitely there is a backdoor with more software on this thing. But yeah, that is your basic, somewhat prototype version of Android Gingerbread 2.3.7 running on the Xperia ION Prototype. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the camera, and there's a lot to talk about this camera because it's easily the highlight of this phone. This camera is really amazing. I'll show you the sample photos that I took, and you'll see why. The photos it takes are bright, vibrant, and they're really sharp. For such an old phone from 2012, an upper mid-range or sort of well, I wouldn't say it's mid-range, it's upper mid-range, but it's not way up there either. It's somewhere between mid-range and upper mid-range, somewhere in the middle of the two. But honestly, this camera is extremely good. So For specifications, it is a 12 megapixel camera, so 12 megapixel autofocus camera with a single LED flash, as you can see there, single LED flash, and it has a panorama feature as well. It does not have HDR. But of course, using software, you can try and extract that HDR or use a separate app to do a multiple shot image and then compile it into an HDR image. However, the stock Sony camera app does not have HDR for this thing, but it has Sony's scene features, which I'll show you in a bit. It also can do video at 1080p at 30 FPS. The video is also really good. It cannot record in stereo sound. However, the sound recording on this thing is really good as well. Moving on to the front of the phone, as you can see, the front camera on this thing is a 1.3 megapixel shooter that can do video at 720p at 30 fps as well, and I'll demo that in this camera demo as well. So first, let's go into the camera interface, and you'll be very familiar with this. Pressing the camera shutter button does nothing, as you can see. I'm not sure if that did something on the final model, but on this it doesn't. Let me know if you had the final model of this and whether the camera shutter button actually launched the camera. Now, this is the camera interface. As you can see, you can switch from photo to video over here. We're currently on photos here, and we can hit scene, and as you can see, there's no HDR feature. We have scene auto, normal, front camera switcher, 3D sweep panorama, sweep angle, sweep panorama. You can have your flash settings over here as well. Here are the extra settings. So 12 megapixel, you can select the resolution, flash, self-timer, smile detection, geotagging, capturing method, shutter sound, quick launch, and the location of storage. When you switch to video, you get a bit more options. So video has a bit more options. You have your video quality, scene, self-timer, flash mode, photo light, exposure value, white balance metering, image stabilization. You can also switch off the stabilizer on and off. The hand means the stabilizer there. You can see that with that logo. And then you have microphone on and off, capturing method, shutter sound, and location of storage as well. You can also change to the front camera from there. You have easy access to some modes over here. You have your manual EV balance, and you have the light on and off. That is simply just for video recording and stuff. Let me switch to the front camera here. So front video, 720p. As you can see, my downwards facing iPhone 11 camera over there. You have a few options here as well. You can reduce the video size from that to below 720p. You can also switch to the front camera, as you can see there, and it changes with more options there. So that is the camera interface. All right, so it's now time for the photo samples, but I also want to mention, as you can see in this video, it is having trouble focusing on removing lights, as you can see there. That could be because this thing is a bit unpolished and it's a prototype, but it could also be just a thing with the camera. As you can see, the lights on my computer's fans are revolving, the RGB lights, and it's having trouble focusing. And when it does even focus, it's not that accurate in terms of colors, but it is what it is. So now let's move on to the photos taken during the day, followed by video during the day, and then photos at night, followed by video taken at night as well. Alright, so as you saw with those samples, the camera is really good on this phone. It's accurate, the colors are accurate, they're sharp, they're bright, they're detailed, and it's a big thumbs up from me for the camera department on this phone. And it could have been better in the final model. I've never used the final model, so I don't know. This thing's a prototype, so there may be some software processing issues on this because this OS is not entirely polished, like I said. Alright, so now for the speaker demo. Now, this phone, being an Xperia phone, was also focused on music playback. Sony's were focused on two things, cameras and music playback, and this phone is no secret to that. Its speaker is not a stereo speaker, it's just a simple speaker there, but it's actually quite a loud, good mono speaker. It also has Sony's Xloud feature to enhance the loudness of the speaker while keeping quality. So that technology was also quite interesting. So max volume, let's turn on Xloud. There you go. And let's play some ringtones. So AT&T ringtones are here. Oh, that's annoying. But that's good to wake you up. These are Xperia ringtones. So there's your Xperia ringtone, the OG Xperia ringtone. That must have been very nostalgic for a lot of people. Let's try that same ringtone with Xloud off now. Let's see. Ooh, big difference. Yeah, Xloud makes a huge difference, and it's also really, really good. It keeps the quality without actually turning it grainy and stuff, but it makes it louder too. So let's do that again. Xperia. Much different. But yeah, the speaker on this thing is really loud, it's really clear, it's not tinny. When Xloud is turned on, it sounds really, really nice, and no complaints over it not being a stereo speaker. This mono speaker is the best of the best kind of mono speaker that you can find. There are phones in 2022, budget phones with really crappy mono speakers, and this thing easily beats them all. So big thumbs up from me on the speaker department. But then again, you shouldn't be really surprised. After all, this is a Sony which was focused on music. Either way, we can now go into some additional features of this phone. So like I said, it has the Xperia UI, Sony's Xperia UI skin on top of Android with its few additional features. It came with Track ID and stuff like that from Sony. Where is that? Track ID is in here somewhere, I think. Maybe it's not here, but because this one's a prototype. But yeah, Track ID usually comes with this thing. It also has Ant Plus, which is a health monitoring software. It's kind of a rival to Nike Plus, Nike fitness thing, the Nike iPod Plus Nike thing. So this thing has Ant Plus as well, the fitness tracking thing. As a document viewer, the usual Android features. Like, why am I even mentioning that? But the main features obviously were the Xperia UI features and stuff like that. It also has GLONASS, and it has a stereo FM radio. Obviously, it has USB on the go with micro USB 2.0. And yeah, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, NFC. Yeah, like I said, of course, it has NFC. So one of the few early phones to have NFC alongside the other Xperia phones, the high-end ones and stuff like that. It also shipped in a white color. Here's a photo of it. I have never seen the white one, but it is what it is. Here's a photo of it. And yeah, so we can now move on to battery and power, and this thing had an amazing battery life according to some customer reviews. However, when it was upgraded to ice cream sandwich, the battery life dropped again, but then it was upgraded to Jellybean, the battery life went up again. So kind of nice to know that they fixed the ice cream sandwich battery life thing. It was a minor drop, it wasn't major, but people liked Jellybean better because battery life was better. But on Gingerbread, it had its best battery life. Of course, it was the base OS. So the battery on this thing is a 1900 milliamp hour lithium ion battery with standby time of about 400 hours on 2G and 350 hours on 3G, and a talk time of 10 hours on 2G and about 4 hours on 3G. And you can play music non-stop for up to 12 hours. So really good battery performance depending on how you use this thing as well. So yeah, that was the Xperia ION Prototype AT&T Developer Kit phone that I found. I don't know if I mentioned the price. It was about $47 or something. The original listing, I may have put it up front, but if I didn't, here's the original listing. If I didn't show you in the front at the beginning of this video, pretty nice phone, pretty interesting to see all that stuff with AT&T's testing stuff on this thing. Not too much in the way of testing software, maybe accessible with like a PC suite or something, or a companion software, but it is what it is. It's nice to see phones that were pre-release, that were being tested without the public's knowledge. These phones are usually destroyed, but this one somehow got leaked out for who knows why. Maybe the person, the AT&T employee never returned it or something like that. But it's interesting to see nevertheless. Just another prototype phone in my pile of prototypes that I own. Definitely check out the prototype playlist of videos down in the description below if you already haven't, and it's on my channel as well. All sorts of prototype phones that you may love if you like this video. And if you honestly like this video, don't forget to leave a big thumbs up down below, as it helps this video get on YouTube's algorithm. And also don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, ring that bell notification button also to get notified whenever I upload a new video. I'm on Instagram, Discord and Twitter, and you can follow me on those using the links down in the description below. Thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.